Well, we've had discussion about a number of teams that almost made it to championships and a number of athletes who could have been champions. But we also had quite a few coming from New Bedford.
Actual
3
champions.
Who won state championships. We had Corey Mello, who won the New England title in wrestling. John Williams, who was the all-state title in long jump. And Alex Frazier, who won her second straight state title in the 100-meter freestyle. So that's pretty impressive for one season, 1 year, to have 3 state champion athletes out of one school.
It's funny to me when we talk about local athletes, we've talked about Brian Pothier. We're going to talk about a couple others later. I look at everything that we read and we hear about Alex Frazier, the swimmer at New Bedford, who basically, I'll give you the short version. On an Olympic track in one of the most high-profile, club swim teams you can have, the Bluefish Swim Club. I'm going to, I want to swim high school my last 2 years. I want to, get that sort of team camaraderie, comes in and largely just destroys everyone. Didn't dominate, didn't dominate across the board, but, I mean, Tim, you've talked to her in the past. She basically comes in and wins 2 state titles just like that in the 100-meter, and it's almost like, we don't see that very often.
Well, and that's kind of a little bit of the misconception about Alex, is that she's coming in she's part of the team just to acquire those state titles, just to pad her resume like that, and that's not the case at all. It's more the fact that she did high school swimming to challenge herself to meet some different goals than she would have gotten in the club program. When you get involved with the club swimming, they determine what events are your events, and that's what you stick with. And she's less impressed with what she can do in the 100 freestyle, the 200 freestyle, these events that she swims for the club team, and more on what she can do trying the backstroke, trying the butterfly, these other events that she'll take part in.
Oh, for points, get her team points, that could be a victory for the team.
Absolutely, and to be there cheering on her teammates, which is, when you're involved with a club team, sure, it's a team, but it's still, you're out there for your individual self and your individual performance.
Yep.
And so that gave her the sense of feeling like, what I do isn't just for me, it's going to help fuel these girls as well. So the state titles are her lasting legacy there. But I think personally for her, she's coming away with it. I think that might be, maybe last on her list of things she's grateful for in that season.
And she's helped establish a kind of a culture of victory there, the sort of culture that the wrestling team, which New Bedford's got our only wrestling team, but what they've been able to do, they have just every year, it seems, the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years, they get another wrestler to 100 wins. Corey Mello, who we mentioned, he just got his 100th win, which would be awesome and is awesome, except that he won the New England title of this year, which I believe, if we check the math, is 6 times better than a state title.
Yeah.
And he didn't even win the state title is the funny thing. He got beat by a kid from Greater Lawrence, who he then met again in the All-New England tournament, and he won at 112 pounds. And he's the New England champion, which is something that New Bedford hasn't had. This is a team that's had state success, that's had South sectional success. They didn't have the team success this year. They got knocked out in the semifinals, but they just keep quietly chugging along. They were in the Marshfield tournament this week.
That's right. Mello won the MVP among the lower weight classes. 3 players
to the finals. They've got John Marsh, who's moved on to Bridgewater State, who's winning New England wrestling awards there. It's just incredible that they're just kind of out on their own island. The only team that plays this sport, and they're incredibly good at it.
Yeah, one of the things that's kind of overlooked with some of these strong New Bedford teams is wrestling, boys volleyball. These teams who contend for state titles and who are amongst the elite in the state in these sports, they're relatively new programs. It's not like they're 50-plus years of history like the football team or the basketball team. I think the wrestling team's only been around for about a dozen years.
Yeah.
It's funny. Wrestling is a standard sport in Rhode Island. It's a standard sport in Connecticut. And yet around here, New Bedford's the only school that wrestles. It's just so weird.
I can give you a little bit of a first-hand story about that. When I was in high school, we tried to get a team started at Wareham, and there was a lot of issue with being able to find people who could coach it because there is no youth version of it in this area. There's nobody in the area that is really qualified to coach wrestling, and I think Fred Pimentel and his staff, I think what they knew, they also kind of made sure that they accented that by
and Steve Estevez has been with them all that time, and now Steve's the head coach. They're role reversed. They got 2 great coaches.
No, you see that. The town I come from, Agawam, out by Springfield, I as you may be able to tell if you look at the video, I don't really have a wrestler's physique. But the junior high gym teacher, man by the name of Phil Tomkeel, has been the wrestling coach at Agawam forever. And it's wrestling is in the program when you're in gym. And that's where it starts, in 7th and 8th grade. And if you show interest in it there, it feeds on and on and on and on. There needs to be, as we've talked about, whether it be John Wild with the Gateman or whether it be, any number of different people, there needs to be that unifying force, that sort of, institutional knowledge that drives people to do it. And there hasn't been that.
I quit my attempt to get a team going, though, once I found out that the flying elbow not legal in high school wrestling.
You can't jump off the top rope?
No.
I love that we've done all this stuff. We haven't even mentioned John Williams yet,
yes.
who is probably one of the, I'll say he's the best athlete I've seen. He only finished second in New England in the long jump. He won the state title and he lost the New England title. I am not the New England's best at anything, so I'm really in awe there. And then you see him, they had all of these, the football team had a very strong year at New Bedford, and a lot of it, they just had so many good athletes. You almost couldn't not have a good year there. And New Bedford track has been outstanding. They've won consistent Big 3 titles. They've won consistent, indoor South titles. It's been an incredible run for them. And when you have guys like, John Williams, it's not terribly surprising. John
Williams is a very, very durable kid. That kid, he gets knocked down, he gets right back up. They give him the ball again, he does it again, and it's not the size of the dog in the fight. So, but that's John Williams. He's really fun to watch play football too.